Hi guys, today we're going to go ahead and we're going to be creating some Kismet on how to unlock a door by picking up key objects in the world. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go up and we're going to open up the content browser, and that's minimized down here. Alright, and we're going to navigate to the package at UDK game. We're going to open up UT3 in the content, environments, HU doors, SM, and finally in the mesh, we're looking for those blast door models. Those are going to be our doors that we open once we solve our pickup puzzle. You can also type search in doors and just be up here at the UDK game level. Turn on your static meshes and they'll be right at the top. So one at a time, we're going to select it in our content browser. I'm going to move that down. You can come into the level, and right about here I'm going to just right click, add interp actor, and that means a movable actor. Okay. We'll drag him up so he's a little bit above that ground level there. I'm going to do the same thing with my Blast Doors 02, just so they fit a little bit better. Just going to right click, we're going to add the interp actor, and we're going to drag it up so it's level, pull it out so they're locked. Now these are a little bit small, I want a little bit grandiose, so I'm going to hold control, select them both. We're going to minimize the content browser here, come down to the bottom of our screen where these numerals are. If you hover over it, it's the draw scale, and I'm going to actually make those 1.5 times as big. We of course have to drag them back up out of the ground. And let's maneuver them so there we go, when they're closed, they're actually closed and locked. With control, selecting both of them, a very important thing about interp actors is they come into the world without any collision. So we're going to press F4 on our keyboard to bring up the interp actor properties. You can also come up here into our view actor properties. We're wanting to open up the collision tab. And our collision type is collide no collision. We want to drop down that and do block all. Okay, there we go. With them both selected, what we're going to do is we're going to set up our animation to open up the doors. In another lesson in our class, we've learned that for our little elevator down there. There we go. Oops. Mouse going a little wild, so here we go. Selecting them both, I'm going to come at the top of my screen, I'm going to open up my Unreal Kismet, and I'm going to find a nice blank area here. I'm just going to right click in the gray area and say new object variables using interp actor 2, 1. 3 actually, sorry, with our elevator in there, that's interp actor 1 already. I do want to right click and add a new matinee. We will hold control, move this up a little bit. There we go. So if we double click our matinee, what we're going to get popping up, that was on my second screen there, is we'll get just our blank animation editor. If we middle mouse scroll out in this field, we can see that it's already set to 5 seconds. I'm going to leave that as a default, so it'll take about 5 seconds for our doors to open. I'm going to grab this little green triangle, left mouse click, and drag it out to the edge so we can get our playback through the entire field. In the empty section on the left hand side, I'm going to right click, add a new empty group, and I'm going to title this door left. Hit OK on that. I'm also going to right click, add a new empty group, and call it door right. Now each one of these is set up for an animation track. It doesn't have anything that we're affecting right now though. So by left clicking and selecting, getting it highlight, we'll select door left, right click on that one. We're going to add a new movement track, and let me see here where they put movement track. There we go. Okay, add a new movement track. Same thing for door right. We'll add a new movement track. And then we want to just switch back to our Kismet. As we see here, we had some nodes that came in that were attached. And that's fine. I'm going to delete that one and just pick one of the ones that we had set already. So for our door left, remember this is our door left, and that's interp actor 3. Door right is going to be interp actor 2. So interp actor 2, drag out, left click and drag out a connection from door right to interp actor 2. And interp actor 3, holding control, we'll just move that on over, release control, left click, drag a connection. Now we can head on back to our matinee. And since I have door right selected right now, I'm just going to move down to the door right movement. And I'm going to hit the add keyframe button, very top left underneath file. That's going to be its starting point. And we have a little glitch going on here. Let me go ahead and delete. Let's see here. We'll add interp actor 3 back over here. All right. Select our mesh, come back into movement, and we're going to keyframe it. Sometimes glitches happen. It could have been with me selecting multiple materials. Most likely had them both selected there. So this is our first keyframe. It's fully closed, blocking off access. We're going to the very bottom in that time bar. There's that black rectangle. We're going to left click, drag that, move it all the way over to 5 seconds. Come into our 3D view. We're going to move this guy all the way over so he's open. We're going to click the add keyframe. You'll notice a little dotted yellow line, and if we grab that black rectangle and scrub, we can see the movement happening. So locked, unlocked. That's all we need from door right, so let's go into door left, movement, make sure we have that selected. Let's add a keyframe for its start position. Same process. We'll head on over to 5. We can see this is already moved. And let's move that open about that far. And a little bit less, and we're going to add a keyframe there. And let's see. And that's all the basic. We're not going to go into any sort of easing in and out, shaking of the doors. You can take your animation as far as you want to. This we're not really focused on animation in this particular course, so we're going to leave it straight at straight movement. This is done. Let's close our Unreal Matinee, and it's auto-saving. That's a good time to just go up to File, Save As. I'm going to save this as my Landscape Test Lighting 3. You guys will be saving this as your MG, whatever the name of your level is, just your next iterative save. There we go. Unreal Kismet, we're all set. We can do some matinee. Oops, have an old note in there from a while back. All right, so matinee. Now is the fun part of getting some key systems. So what we want to do, want to head back into our content browser, close up our UT3, and in the Mario Assets folder in the materials and the meshes, make sure if you have doors still up there, you just hit the X on that. We have a little key. Now this key right now, if we double click and load it, it may have a material on it. It's just a very basic key. Swap the material on it real quick. You know, that one may not be the best material. Let's see here. Find one that's, I'll just slam the springboard material on it real quick. If you ever need to do that, just in the body setup of the static mesh actor, we can open up LOD info, the elements, and just scroll down, keep opening that up till we find the material. And let's see here. That looks a little bit more key-like. All right. So in our Mario Assets folder, I'm going to save that. In our meshes, once it saves, That took a little bit. In our meshes, we have our Mario key. At some point on here, there we go. So we want to select this. This Mario key needs to be interactive. So we need to create it the same way we did our doors. I'm going to go through and just place one of the keys right in front of the doors on our placement. You might want to hide this, Easter eggs. Think of the shiny pickups that you can get, collectibles in any game. Will be our keys. Once we collect enough of them, the doors will open. So we're going to add the interactor, Mario Assets, Mesh, Mario Key. I do want to rotate this by 90 degrees. So hit spacebar, and let's rotate that around till it just hits 90. Spacebar again, pull it up, and it's like those little keys from Mario 2. Hit home, zoom in on him, so you can see a little bit better what's going on. There we go. And if we hit F4, the same thing, he's going to have no collision. We kind of want him to have collision, so we're going to sit here and we're going to just go to a block all. Now this has nothing to do for our triggers, it's just so Mario can jump on him and stand on top before he picks him up. If you played Super Mario Bros. 2 or World, or you can pick up the keys, carry them, throw them. We're not going to be able to throw them here. These are just for little aesthetic purpose if you want to jump on top of them. So our interactor is there. We also want to go ahead and place, let's see here, he's about a good size. If we test it out, play from here, let's see, he should come up pretty far on our custom character. Yeah, there we go. And we can jump on him. Can't run through the doors yet. So there we go. We're just going to right click on the key and we're going to add actor, add trigger. Move that trigger over the key, bring him up a little bit, and that's pretty good. All right, so what we're going to do is go into F4, our actor properties, open up trigger, cylinder component, and collision radius. Make that about 20. It's a little tighter to the key. We don't want him so far away that it just looks weird that he's running to the key. He hasn't quite gotten it yet. Maybe 15 actually. Yep, 15 will fit. The collision height, you can make that about 30, I think will do. Yeah, 30 pops in pretty well there. And then you can close out the trigger properties. Now we just need to add the Kismet. Open the Unreal Kismet. The trigger is selected. So just right click over here on the left hand side by the matinee and say new event using trigger 1. And we're going to say used. You're going to have to hit E to pick up the keys. We could do touch where we just run over them. But remember, you can stand on the keys in Mario and you can pick them up. So this is our little nod to that. So trigger to used. And then the key itself, we want to select that, come in here, right click, say new object variable using interactor 4 or 5, whatever it is in your scene, and move them down. So this trigger when used, what we're going to do is we're going to, there we go. There we go. All right, so we're going to open up the sequence events used, aim to interact. We don't want that. That means he's going to have to look at the key. If you're standing on the key, kind of hard to look at it unless you put the camera straight overhead. Interact distance, that's fine. We can turn that down to 64 units. Interact text would be use. Press E to use. Okay, touch types, not really. This is a one trigger event. It's going to destroy itself. Okay. Now to destroy the object, let's give ourselves a little bit more room. There we go. we're going to want to add a separate node. If we right-click, the node we're going to use is a new action. We're going to be affecting an actor in the world, an object in the world. So actor, destroy. Stretch connection from used on the trigger to in on the destroy. The target would be the key. Then what we're going to do, we're going to wait a little bit here. We want to go ahead and select the trigger itself. I'm going to move him up so he's a little bit around everything. We're going to right click and say new action, new event using trigger 1 touch. Move him above everything. From this touched, we want to get something printing out on the screen. So let's do a right click, new action, miscellaneous, draw text. From touched on the trigger to the show on the draw text. That target, we want it to be the player. So underneath target, I want to right click and say new variable, player. Move that underneath the target, connect it to the target. With this selected, we want to uncheck all players. We only want our single player to affect this. Okay, trigger 1 touched. We will, in this draw text, display time seconds. That's fine. We'll do 2 seconds. Don't display it on the object, that'll actually display it on the trigger. And the message text, press E to pick up key. Message font, we need to find ourselves a font. We've done this in a previous lesson, but just in case we switch around lesson order, let's go up into UDK content. I believe it's in shared UI fonts. There we go. Shared UI fonts final and MF huge will do. Select that in the content browser, come over to message font, add that in. The scale, let's test it out and see what the scale looks like. So to test it out, first thing you want to do, just in case there's a conflict, save your current level, play from here, press E to pick up key, E picked up the key. Yay, we're almost there. That's a big font. If you want to get it smaller, we can change the font size to something like 0.25. 0.25. Test that out. See how that works for your game, how you like it. You can keep it big if you want. You can have it smaller. I'm probably going to choose a middle option here, 0.75. A little bit more in your face there. The message color, you can decrease or increase the color if you want. Change it to something like blinding red, bright yellow, whatever you want it to be. Make it a little cooler of a color. There we go. So what we have here is a trigger 1 touch, a draw text, a used, a destroy, all connected to our insert actors. We want to make this reusable so that we only have to make this once. The way you do that, first thing we're going to do is from the trigger 1 used, next to the destroy, want to go ahead and click on right click, new action, and I believe it's miscellaneous, finish sequence. A lot of nodes in here to keep correct, but finish sequence is the one we want. And then we're going to get our destroy and hook it in from the out to the in finish sequence. What this is going to do, we are going to move our Unreal Kismet, we're going to minimize that. We're going to be making a prefab out of these keys, so we can have as many keys in here as we want. You select the key, Control, select the trigger, right click on them both. We're going to go down to Create Prefab, 4 from the bottom. Click on that. It's going to ask what package. You would put this in this class into something with your name underscore package. You can put it in key package, but remember that the more packages we have, the more people have to download to play your level. So you can place this in just your package. So I'm going to put this into the Joshua Key Toot package, tutorial package. The grouping, because it's a prefab, I like to keep everything in order. Mesh goes into the mesh textures go into the texture file. Prefabs are going to go into a prefabs folder. And we are going to name this Mario Key. Hit OK. It found Unreal Kismet. Is this correct? Make sequence main prefab. Oops, no. So we're going to cancel out of that. Sorry about that, guys. One step before we finish. Let's redo that. Select all these, and we're going to right-click over that, and we're going to create a new sequence. And we're going to call that key pickup. Now let's go back to our level, select the key, control, select the trigger, right-click, create prefab. We're going to send this prefab to the Josh Key tutorial. Grouping is going to be in prefab, and the name will be Mario Key. Press OK. It found the key sequence key pickup for this prefab. You say yes. Would you like to replace these actors? Yes. You'll know you've done it correctly when you get this little box that's around both objects that are in your prefab. We also do want to go to our content browser, and in new packages, there's the Josh Key Toot prefab, a little picture of it. Just take a screen grab. And we're going to right click, save that. There we go. Find our Josh Key Toot prefab. We can select that in the engine, in the content browser. Minimize that. It's been a long day without much caffeine. So we're going to come through here. We're going to right click, we're going to place one, add prefab Mario Key, drag it up so he's sitting on the ground there. Maybe one around here, add prefab Mario Key. And one more, add prefab Mario Key. So there's going to be 4 of them. So we've got all these guys. And the great thing is, if we open up Kismet and double click, there'll be this new little set here called prefabs or key prefabs. It'll just be floating around here where your sequence used to be. If you double click on that, we can open it up and see we have all these out sequences. These are all our keys. If we double click, we can see, hey, there's trigger 5 and it's using interrupt actor 8. Okay, but all of our Kismet is set up here. That means that each one of these prefabs is going to have the press E to pick up key, and it's going to destroy it. It's going to send a little signal to the finish sequence out. So we need to have another finish sequence out where our main sequences are here. So just right click, new action, and miscellaneous, finish sequence. Connect all of our outputs. And to go backwards, you just come up to the upper left-hand corner, click these little arrows. One's navigate forward, that'll go into one of the sequences. You can back out, and there's our prefab. Now right now, we could put this out into play. It means every key we pick up is going to open these doors. We don't want that. We want to say, hey, we want everything to open up the door. So first thing we need is something that's going to carry how many keys we've already picked up. So we need a variable. You create one by right-clicking, new variable. We're going to do a named variable. In this named variable, it's going to want a type under sequence var named. Since we're counting, we're going to use int. Integer is just number. So the field name, we're going to name this key number or key count. There we go. No spaces. Try to get out of the habit of typing spaces when you program. This is visual programming, a little different. If you need a space, use an underscore. Or you can do what's called camel case, and that is how I normally do when I'm programming for my variables. Lowercase for the first word, no space, capital for each additional word. So I'm going to do key count the way I normally do it if I was programming it. Press enter. It's going to capitalize that, it looks like anyway. It doesn't like camel case. Oh well. So in between the prefabs and the matinee, I'm going to right click, and we're going to do a new condition counter int counter. So again, right click, new condition, counter, int counter. Hold control, move that up a little bit. Prefabs can be right next to it. So we need a couple of things for an int counter. The sequence on the int counter, it's going to increment it by 1. And that's fine. Personally, I like to go ahead and just get a couple new variables. First one's going to be an int. There we go. And we're going to connect that into B. Oops, I'm sorry guys. Hold Alt. It's been a long day. Let's see here. No, I was right. Into B. This is going to be the count of our objects here. So int value is going to be 4. Sounds about right. 4 keys to pick up. We want our new action, new variable, and we're going to do int. This one we're going to give a name. We're going to call this key count. This int value starts at 0. So the increment amount is going to be 1. That's going to increment our key count and until it reaches 4. So connect the prefabs to that. A equals B goes into play. Let's go ahead and test this out. Press E to pick up the key. And there we go. Our door opens. There are a couple of little sticking points. We've gone ahead, connected all the draw text, display time, display on object for the trigger 5s. There we go. And we've got the used, something like 64 is fine. You don't need to aim to interact. Destroy, fire sequence. We brought up all our sequences are connected, all 4 of them. That's into our key count. Once the key count are named a variable, and these actually can be switched. So if you want to reuse all of these inside another sequence, really all you need to do is bring out this key count here. This is named. He's going to stand over here, and this is kind of a placeholder that'll just get involved whenever it's called. So if you play from there, we'll go through. Let's just really quickly pick these guys up. See, it's calling that placeholder number, and everything's fine. You can do it either way. Doesn't matter. None of the other tutorials are really going to be doing much with name variables. That's a little bit more advanced, but I thought I'd throw it in to show you how I typically address situations like this. Alright, so we're going to pause on that. Our next video we'll be doing is making thwomps.